Hello bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to bring you my spring anticipated releases. I am definitely filming this video way later than I usually do. I usually try to film it before what I consider to be spring, so this video is going to cover releases coming out in March, April, and May. And at the time of filming, it is pretty much the end of March. So hopefully I can get this up before March is over. I still want to talk about releases that came out in March that I was excited about because I was still excited about them even though most of them are already out. So yeah, I have 15 books that I want to talk to you about today that I am excited about. Keep in mind this is not a TBR. I do a separate spring TBR, which I am also late at filming because I haven't filmed that yet. I honestly try not to read a ton of new releases, although I will be reading a bunch over the next few months, like through summer, because I went to NetGalley and Edelweiss the other day and got a little click happy and requested a bunch of books. But generally, I try not to read a lot of new releases because I'm more the kind of person who likes to see what people think of a new release before committing to reading it. So this is not a TBR, these are just books that I've heard about that I think sound interesting, or a lot of them are from authors that I'm interested in trying. Okay, let's get started. So starting with March, I'm going back to the beginning of March. And the first book that I wanted to talk about is A Desolation Called Peace by Arkady Martine. This is an adult science fiction book. It's the sequel to A Memory Called Empire, and it came out on March 2nd from Tor Books. And some of you may be surprised that this is on my most anticipated list because I did not love A Memory Called Empire, which is kind of an unpopular opinion. That one was kind of like a booktube darling last year, or I guess the year before. But I honestly thought it was just okay. There was a lot of things about it that I didn't love, but the thing is, and the reason why I'm interested in the sequel, is there are things hinted in that first book. Like, that first book is very political and very centered around this one place. It's a space opera, but there are like hints at things happening in like bigger space that I thought was really interesting, but they were only hinted at. It was kind of like set up for the next book. And I've heard that that's what the second book is about. Like, the first book is very like insular, and the second book is more about these like bigger world problems that I thought sounded really interesting from the first book. I'm still a little on the fence, but I'm definitely intrigued by it, and I kind of think I might like it more than A Memory Called Empire. So it's one that I might end up reading. The next book I want to talk about is The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst. This is an adult high fantasy, and it came out on March 9th from Harper Voyager. I'm interested in this primarily because of the author. I have not read any Sarah Beth Durst yet, but I want to. I've been hearing good things about her books. I have a couple of friends who really enjoyed her Queens of Renthia series, and I actually was talking with Jessie from The Bookish Mom earlier today, and she has read The Bone Maker, and she absolutely loved it. And also, it is a standalone, which is great because I'm in the middle of way too many series and you don't get a lot of fantasy standalones, so I'm really excited about that. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is kind of a newer addition to my list because I just read the first book in the series in March, so in a way I'm glad that I waited until now to film this video because I wouldn't have included this book if I hadn't. But another book that I'm super excited about that at the time of filming hasn't actually come out yet. It comes out in a few days. And that is Flamefall by Rosaria Munda. It is the second book in the Aurelian cycle. The first book is Fireborn. This is a YA fantasy series that has dragons in it. And the first book was so good. But it comes out on March 23rd from G.P. Putnam Sons Books for Young Readers. So like I said, I just read Fireborn. I have heard a lot of good things about Fireborn, particularly from my friend Elliot Brooks. She loved that book when she first read it last year, and she's been talking about it nonstop, but I didn't actually pick it up until March. I actually just talked about it a little bit, at least my beginning thoughts on it, in my last reading vlog, but by now I have finished it and I Loved it so much. It's definitely a new favorite, and I'm dying to read the second one. Elle has already read the second one because she got an early copy, lucky her, and she thought it was so good. She loved the second one. So I may or may not be reading the second one very soon because I'm dying to know what happens next. I loved it so much. I'm also very excited about the next book I want to talk about. I am very excited for Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. It is the second book in the King of Scars duology, or the Nikolai duology. So this is set in her Grisha world. This is a YA fantasy. I know there was a lot of like mixed opinions and controversy about the first book, King of Scars, but I was in the camp of having enjoyed that book. I'm just kind of a Nikolai fan, and I don't know, I really like the first one, and so I'm definitely interested and excited to see where the second one is going to go. And this one is coming out on March 30th at the very end of the month from Imprint. The next book I want to talk about, I think I've mentioned in previous anticipated releases videos because the release date kept getting pushed, but I am also excited that finally The Serpent's Curse by Lisa Maxwell is coming out. It is the third book in the Last Magician series, and this is a YA fantasy. It was going to come out at the end of last year, and in the process of writing this one, the author realized that she couldn't wrap up everything that she wanted to wrap up. So it is no longer going to be a trilogy. There's going to be a fourth book that is coming out next year in 2022. I have only read the first book in the series. I've been kind of waiting for the ending to get close to coming out, which I thought was going to be this third book, but is no longer. But I want to reread the first one and like read them all the way through. I really enjoyed the first one. It's been a while since I've read it, but I remember really enjoying it, and I've just been keeping my eye on the series because I really want to read it all when it's done. And the third book is finally coming out. I'm a little bummed it's not the end of the series, just because I thought the end was in sight, but that's okay. I want the author to have, you know, as much page time as she needs to tell the full story. And with it being 4 books, that just means it's going to take me longer to like reread the first one and get through all of them. So I think I still will start my reread of the first book sometime in 2020 so that I will be ready when the final one comes out next year. Oh, and this book was my first April book. It's coming out on April 13th from Margaret K. McElderberry Books. The next book I'm going to talk about is also coming out on April 13th. This is from Del Rey, and that is Malice by Heather Walter. This one sounds like a queer retelling of Sleeping Beauty, but from the perspective of the evil sorceress or something. It's kind of like a villain. I don't know if it's a villain origin story or just like from the villain's point of view, but then Sleeping Beauty, I think, falls in love with her or something. I don't know. It sounds really interesting. I like fairy tale retellings, especially when they have more unique twists to them. So I thought this one sounded interesting. I saw it on NetGalley. I requested an e-arc and I actually got approved, so I will be reading this one. I'm really hoping that I like it, but it does sound like it's a debut, and I have no idea if I'm going to end up liking it, but I thought the plot sounded really interesting. The first like sentence of the synopsis says, "A princess isn't supposed to fall for an evil sorceress, but in this darkly magical retelling of Sleeping Beauty, true love is more than a simple fairy tale." So yeah, fingers crossed that I like that one. The next book I want to talk about is The Forest of Stolen Girls by June Her. This is a YA historical fiction mystery that's set in historical Korea, and it's coming out on April 20th from Feiwel and Friends. June Her is the author of The Silence of Bones, which is also a historical fiction mystery set in historical Korea. I haven't read it yet. I want to read it. I actually have a copy of it thanks to my friend Leanna. She gave me a copy because she's so sweet. I wanted to read it last fall because I like to read historical fictions in the fall, and then it didn't happen, but I really want to read that one. But I just love that the author chooses historical Korea to set these like mysteries. I just think that is so unique and cool. If you don't know, I'm half Korean, so like I find that really intriguing. The first sentence of the synopsis says, "After her father vanishes while investigating the disappearance of 13 young women, a teen returns to her secretive hometown to pick up the trail in this second YA historical mystery from the author of The Silence of Bones. And I also love the cover. I think it looks really cool, so I really want to read this one. The next book I'm excited for is Witches Steeped in Gold by Sienna Smart. This is another YA fantasy, and it's coming out on April 20th from Harper Teen. And this one I'm interested in because it's like a Jamaican-inspired fantasy, which I haven't seen before. It was really the end of the synopsis that caught my eye, that I was like, ooh, that sounds really interesting. So it says, this Jamaican-inspired fantasy debut about two enemy witches who must enter into a deadly alliance to take down a common enemy has the twisted cat and mouse of Killing Eve, with the rich imagined fantasy world of Furyborn and An Ember in the Ashes, which I haven't read Furyborn. I really should. That's been on my TBR forever. But I do enjoy An Ember in the Ashes. So I really liked the Killing Eve with a mix of Furyborn and Ember in the Ashes. I thought that sounded cool. So I'm actually going to talk about an adult book next, an adult science fiction book. I really have no idea if I would like this or not because I've never heard of the author before. I don't think maybe they're a debut. The book is The End of Men by Christina Sweeney Baird. This is coming out on April 27 from G.P. Putnam's Sons. So the main reason I'm interested in this is because it's about a virus that kills only men. I don't know why I think that sounds super interesting, but I mean, virus outbreak books are kind of one of my like bookish buzzwords. It says, set in a world where a virus stalks our male population, The End of Men is an electrifying and unforgettable debut, it is a debut, from a remarkable new talent that asks, what would our world truly look like without men? I know that this isn't like a totally new idea of like a world where there's only women, or the opposite, a world where there's only men, but I just always find that idea really interesting, so I have no idea if I would like this, but it definitely caught my eye. Okay, the next book I'm excited about is Fugitive Telemetry by Martha Wells. This is the 6th book in the Murderbot Diaries. This is coming out on April 27th from Tor.com. I have read the first 4 novellas in the Murderbot Diaries series, and then after that comes a full-length novel. I haven't read that yet, but I really want to. And then this 6th one is back to being a novella. And I heard just today from my friend Mara that this one is a bit of like a murder mystery plot, which I think sounds really fun and made me even more excited to read this one. Okay, finally moving on to May. We're almost done. The next book I'm super excited for is The Shadow of Gods by John Gwynne, which is going to be the first book in a new series, a series totally unrelated to his other series that he has. And the series is called The Bloodsworn Saga. This is coming out on May 4th from Orbit. I have not read any John Gwynne yet, but I really want to read his Faithful and the Fallen series. The first book is called Malice. I have a group of friends that love that series, and I need to see what all the fuss is about. I know there's like a Chosen One trope, which I love Chosen One tropes, so that one has definitely been on my list. I'm hoping to read it soon, but I was really excited that this new series he has coming out is unrelated to those, so like I can choose to read it first. And it's also Viking inspired, which I think sounds really cool. And I actually requested an arc of this. Like I said, I went on NetGalley and Edelweiss recently over the last month or two and requested a bunch of books because I got click happy, and this was one of them. This was like one of the reasons why I went to NetGalley in the first place, and then I ended up requesting other books after that. But I got approved for this one, so I have an e-copy, and so I hopefully will be reading it very soon. The next book I'm excited about is Realm Breaker by Victoria Aveyard. It's going to be the first book in a new series called Realm Breaker. This is a YA fantasy coming out on May 4th from Harper Teen. So I'm interested in this one mostly because of the author, Victoria Aveyard. So she's the author of the Red Queen series, which is a 4-book series. I've only read the first 2 books in that series, and that was a long time ago, and I never continued. I think I did enjoy those first 2 books more than a lot of other people. There was a lot of mixed opinions about those books. Some people really liked them. Some people thought that series was really like derivative, but I enjoyed the first 2 and I meant to continue and just never did. So I'm interested to see what this new series might be like now that she's more of a seasoned author, and the plot sounds really interesting. It sounds like there's a Chosen One trope, but also like a cast of like unlikely characters that have to work together. It says there's a squire, an immortal, an assassin, an ancient sorceress, a forger, and a bounty hunter. They have to work together to save the world or burn all kingdoms to ash, it says. I don't know. But it sounds interesting, and because of the author, I'm definitely intrigued by this one. I'll be very curious to see what people think of it when it comes out. Okay, the next book I want to talk about is The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He. This is coming out on May 4th from Roaring Brook, and this is a YA sci-fi book. So I'm interested in this one because of the author initially. Joan He is the author of The Descendant of the Crane, which is a YA fantasy that has like a lot of politics in it. I actually haven't read it, but I really want to. It's one of my friend Elle's favorite books, or I don't know if she would call it a favorite book, but she really enjoyed it and she thinks that I would like it, and I've been meaning to read it forever, but I haven't read it yet. And I think it's interesting that the author is switching genres a little bit. This is more sci-fi and not fantasy. The cover I really love. I think it's really pretty. And the first sentence of the synopsis really caught my eye. It says, one of the most twisty, surprising, engaging page-turner YAs you'll read this year. We Were Liars meets Black Mirror with a dash of Studio Ghibli. What an interesting combination of things. And I mean, anytime someone says meets Black Mirror, I know that's like a really buzzy thing to compare to, but I love Black Mirror. I love how it messes with your head and makes you like really think about stuff. So when I saw that, I was immediately intrigued. I did also request an e-arc of this, and I was denied, sadly. I don't get approved for everything I request, especially Edelweiss. NetGalley is a little more lenient towards me sometimes. The next book I want to talk about is Son of the Storm, which is the first book in a new series called The Nameless Republic by Sui Davis Okungboa. First of all, I love this cover. I think this cover looks really cool. This is an adult fantasy coming out from Orbit on May 11th. I honestly haven't heard a whole lot of people talking about this, but I think I heard my friend Elle mention it. The first sentence in the synopsis does sound interesting. It says, a young scholar's ambition threatens to reshape an empire, determined to retain its might in this epic tale of violent conquest, buried histories, which I think sounds interesting, and forbidden magic. Forbidden magic is always interesting, so definitely intrigued by it. Because it is the first book in a series, I don't know if I will actually be reading it, but I will definitely be keeping my eye out for reviews on this one to see what other people think of it. And then the last book that I am excited about is an adult science fiction book, and that is Shards of Earth by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is also going to be the first book in a new series called the Final Architects Trilogy, so I may or may not be reading it soon. This is coming out on May 18th from Orbit, and I'm interested in this because of the author, Adrian Tchaikovsky. I've only read one book by Adrian Tchaikovsky, but that was The Children of Time, and I loved it. It was a 5-star book for me, I'm pretty sure. It is kind of a polarizing book. I feel like it's definitely not for everyone, but I thought it was so creative and interesting, and I just really enjoyed my time reading that one. I haven't read the sequel to that one yet, but I really want to. Anyways, I was excited to see that this author is coming out with another sci-fi book. The beginning of the synopsis says, the Arthur C. Clarke award-winning author of Children of Time brings us an extraordinary new space opera about humanity on the brink of extinction and how one man's discovery will save or destroy us all. The war is over, its heroes forgotten until one chance discovery. Exploring things like the extinction of humanity, or like humanity being on the brink of extinction, that definitely sounds really interesting to me, but I will definitely be keeping my eye out for reviews of this one. Alright guys, those are 15 books that are coming out in March, April, and May that I am excited for. I'm sure there are a lot of other books that I didn't talk about. I had to narrow it down just to 15. I find that if I do more than 15, these videos get ridiculously long. Let me know your thoughts on these books down below, or you can let me know maybe some books that are coming out that you're excited for that I didn't mention so I can put them on my radar. I do have a list, a Goodreads list, a Goodreads shelf, that's what it's called, of my anticipated releases. It's just like a shelf that I'm constantly trying to update, that I just like throw on lots of unreleased books to kind of keep my eye on. So I will link that Goodreads shelf down below in case you guys want to take a look at it and see what else is coming out. later this year or even in the next few months that I didn't talk about in today's video. Anyways, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content. That is all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye.